All right, welcome back to another episode of Just for the Tech of It. I am your host, Drew Prindle, and I will be bringing you all of the weird and wild tech news that you probably missed this week. First up, let's talk about the craziest thing I have seen all week: monkeys that drive wheelchairs with their minds. It sounds ridiculous, but this is totally true. In a study published this week in the journal Scientific Reports, scientists outfitted 2 rhesus monkeys with wireless brain implants that read electrical activity from the region of the brain responsible for voluntary movement. As the monkeys moved toward the bowl, the researchers recorded their brain activity, and afterward they programmed a computer to translate these incoming brain signals into digital commands that controlled the movements of the wheelchair. Once this was all in place, all that the monkeys needed to do was imagine the trajectory that they wanted to travel along in order to move toward the bowl. No joysticks, no pedals, no nothing, just thoughts. Scientists are hoping that in a few years, a more refined version of this technology is going to be available to people with mobility disorders, allowing them to control electric wheelchairs, bionic limbs, and even whole-body exoskeletons with just their minds. That would be amazing, but the downside of all of this is that we'll probably need to test all of this on monkeys first, and I don't know about you, but I don't think we should be giving monkeys exoskeletons they can control with their thoughts. Did you see that last Planet of the Apes movie? Imagine that, but mixed with Terminator and a worldwide shortage of bananas. Alright, next up, let's talk about space. So earlier this week, astronaut Scott Kelly returned to Earth after a 340-day stint aboard the International Space Station. Now, truth be told, you probably already knew about this because it made national news, but what you probably didn't hear was all of the crazy stuff that we learned during Kelly's record-breaking year in space. Basically, we've come to realize that the human body is not very well suited for life in microgravity. Our bodies have evolved over millions of years to deal with the effects of gravity, and as a result, when you take that gravity away, weird things start to happen. So for starters, your bones lose density, because when your skeleton doesn't have to support the weight of your body in space, your bones aren't compelled to reinforce themselves and they gradually become less dense. Your eyesight also deteriorates a little bit because without gravity, the extra fluid in your head puts pressure on your optic nerve. And on top of that, you also need to work out every single day in order to stave off muscle atrophy. And working out without gravity is extremely difficult. Astronauts actually have to harness themselves into treadmills and other workout equipment in order to keep themselves from just flying off of it. When I was a kid, I thought going to space would be awesome, but now it sounds terrible. You're locked in a small room, you have a limited ration of food and water, and you have to be strapped to a treadmill every day?
Houston, we've had a problem.
Alright, and finally, last week, news broke that NASA officially resurrected its experimental aircraft program, and this week, the agency already announced its first project. It's a new kind of passenger jet that can fly at supersonic speeds but without making a loud sonic boom. The idea is that the design of the plane would minimize the size of the pressure waves that propagate as the plane approaches the speed of sound, so that when the aircraft breaks the sound barrier, the sonic boom is more like a sonic thud. The science and engineering that this requires is incredible, and NASA has already awarded $20 million to Lockheed Martin to start working on the design. But it really makes me wonder, aren't there better things to be working on? I can think of a million things I'd rather have on a plane than a quieter sonic boom. Number 1, automatic baby silencing technology. Number 2, a plane with cocktails that don't cost $13 a piece. Maybe bigger bathrooms. How the hell am I supposed to join the Mile High Club if I can't even fit my knees in this little stall? How about a plane that I don't have to shut my phone off in? I mean, I don't do it anyway, but just the fact that they have to tell me every time to shut it off is annoying. I haven't shut my phone off since 2003, and somehow, miraculously, no plane has crashed and I haven't been rerouted to Antarctica. Alright, that does it for this week, but be sure to tune in next week for more weird and wild tech news.